two great female fighters fight for the Undisputed Championship.
You're definitely right, and I have to thank my my coach, Jordan Maldonado, for not not accepting the first couple of fights and keep going back and forth. And he knows what I was worth, and and now we're working with MVP, and they know exactly what we're worth as well. And timing couldn't be better than right now. Happy National Girl and Woman in Sports Day, which is today. Couldn't be a better day than to do all this press. And yeah, women, we're changing the sport, and I'm super happy, I'm super glad, and honored to share the ring with Katie Taylor. She's a great champion, and we're gonna prove who's the pound for pound best, because everyone's been asking for it.
I know there's a lot of respect between you two, sometimes a few back and forths over the years as well, but make no mistake, you're coming here with bad intentions and looking to end this fight inside the distance. That's what you do. You have heavy hands, you're very exciting, as is Katie. We can only expect a tremendous fight on April 30th.
Yeah, nothing changed. I'm still Amanda, the real deal Serrano. And, I don't need to talk bad about any of my opponents. I do all my talking inside the ring. I respect Katie Taylor, what she's done. She's opened, between you and her, you guys opened the doors for women's boxing. And now look, we're headlining MSG. So there's going to be no bad words between us, but in the ring is something different.
And finally, if someone would have said to you a few years ago that you'd be headlining this arena, main arena, Madison Square Garden, for this type of money and this kind of attention, this kind of legacy, it seems like this was a million miles away. I mean, Katie you were doing it before, Katie, in the pro game. I'm sure the struggle was incredible back then, but this is really just the moment where all your hard work, and not just yours, but all female fighters that Jake talked about as well, it all comes together to show them that the world will change on this night.
No, 13 years I've been a professional. Every other day I wanted to quit. The struggle was real. I never had an easy way out of it. I mean, in the game, and never did I imagine making the money I'm making today and headlining Madison Square Garden. Like, are you serious? It wasn't not even a thought. And look, we're changing the game. Like, now younger girls in the sport can be like, I want to be just like those girls. I want to headline the Garden. Now there's hope for them. We never had that hope, and I'm excited to open those doors.
Thank you, Amanda. We go over to the champion, the undisputed world champion, Katie. I think it was like 7 years ago, you were in my office with Brian trying to tell me that we could do something in women's boxing. I didn't believe you at the time, but your passion, your love, your drive made me come along for the ride, and what a ride it's been. If we would have sat there at that moment and said one day you'd be headlining, you might have believed it, but I wouldn't have, and many didn't. And this is the moments that you live for.
Yeah, exactly. I think ever since I turned pro, I've had my eyes fixed on two fights. One was Brazil and the other one was Serrano. And so this is a fight that I've been looking forward to for quite some time now. I feel like since the fight has been announced a couple of weeks ago, I'm nearly sitting back just reflecting on these last few years, and it's incredible how far the sport has actually gone in the 5 short years, where we're actually headlining the Mecca box at Madison Square Garden. It's been called the biggest fight in female boxing history. This is such a privilege to be part of such an historic moment. This is history right here, and all of our hard work has been all paid off on this night. This is going to be a career-defining night.
I remember going back to when you debuted at Wembley. People they weren't sure, were they? Like, for years we've been banging the drum, and I've just said, just watch Katie Taylor, watch these elite females. It's not about female boxing, it's not about men's boxing, it's just about boxing. And this event already in these last few days feels like people talking about this fight as a major fight, not female fight. I remember we joke about my idea where I came to you a few years ago and said, I'm going to headline you on an all-female card. And that wasn't really your vision, was it? It was just about the perception of equality for great fights.
Yeah, that's it. I think this fight genuinely is the most exciting fight in the sport, not just in female boxing, but in boxing as a whole. And not just because of our records, but I believe that our styles will gel well together. It's going to produce a fantastic fight for the fans. This really is the best fight in boxing right now. And it's not about female boxing or male boxing. This is just boxing. This is top-class boxing. And so this is exactly why we're here.
And we also know you two are fierce competitors. There's a lot of respect. We're all here celebrating the fact that this is even happening, but we know when you go back to the gym, still quite a long way to go, but you and her, Amanda, will be desperate for victory on April 30th. I know what a winner you are, what a competitor you are. You have to retain those belts here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're both great champions, and she has a great record. There's no doubt about it. She's a great fighter. We're going to be both stepping into the ring and fight night, believing that we're both going to come out victorious. But I do believe that when you look down the list of our opponents, you'll see recognisable names on my resume. You'll see the likes of McCaskill, the likes of Pursoon, the likes of Jonas, among others, and you'll also see top-class amateur boxers as an amateur as well. So I have been tested, I have been refined in the fire, and I believe that we'll stand to be in a fight this competitive. So we're both going to go in the best shape possible, and may the best fighter win.
Well, thank you, Katie.
All right, let's stop right there. This is from earlier today. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor got a chance to face off. They're going to be fighting on April the 30th in Madison Square Garden. Their press conference today was in Madison Square Garden. As you can see, Eddie Hearn, you know, the Latina beauty, Latina. Oh, anyway. Yeah, there's Jake Paul. This was earlier today in Madison Square Garden. Their fight is on April the 30th. It's looking like it is going to be on the same day. This fight that we're about to talk about, I'm about to mention, is not official yet. Oscar Valdez, 130-pound WBC champion, and Shakur Stevenson, WBO champion at 130. They're also supposed to be fighting on that day. This undercard is pretty good, though. You got Jesse Vargas versus Liam Smith. Franchon Cruz DAZN versus Aline Selderus. That is for undisputed at 168 pounds. 2 undisputed fights on the same card. A nice barn burner of a co-feature. By the way, look at all this gold. That's Ant Lever right there in the purple shirt. He was pissed off at me because we had 2 credentials for Joshua Ruiz in Madison Square Garden. So I was pissed off because they put us media, all of us, me, Michelle Joy Phelps, Eli Sekback, people were pissed. They put us way up at the top, like, of the arena, and we had no access to the floor or the fighters. But they like did all this catering to UK media. Oh, I was hot. So I took a bullet train home, and I made it home from New York, Madison Square Garden, to Philadelphia, the outside of Philadelphia where I live, in like 90 minutes. So I was home by the main event. I was like, yeah, I'm not sticking around for this shit. You know, what the hell am I here for if I can't like interview the fighters? I mean, don't get me wrong. I was blessed, you know, to be able to have the credentials and everything. But it's like, bro, I'm not going to make no money here. Look at all those belts. Ooh. Look at all that gold. So we got some good news for those who are interested in watching this card and the Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez card. Looking like our homie Twilight, Joe Markowski, this Twilight. Let me show y'all. This dude right here. Let me see if I can do it this way. I don't want to take the picture away while there. Which one is this? Is it this one? This Twilight. So Twilight said that the fight's not going to... This is what he posted. Let's see. Shakur Stevenson said, to be honest, I hope they can stagger the times for my unification with Valdez and Serrano versus Taylor for April the 30th. Let the ladies shine too and the fans watch both fights. He says, great idea, champ. The Zone Boxing will make this happen. So that's beautiful, right? We'll be able to watch both cards with, you know, them not competing with each other, if that makes sense. I'm hoping that makes sense. But I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm going with a man-to-man unless Katie can come out and, excuse my language, punch the shit out of Amanda Serrano in her fucking face or her stomach and make her think like, yo, it ain't sweet out here. You dig? She got to hit her with some shit, and she's got to be... See, Amanda Serrano is the better fighter, better technician, better boxer. But Katie Taylor, yo, that girl can fight. And she's going to be there. She's not going to be out there to try to box. She's going to try to put a boot in her ass, yo. By the way, do you think the Jake Paul thing, do you think he's really genuine? Because even though he's popular and a YouTuber and everything, I did some research and he's got a pretty bad reputation for being like a, like kind of a shady dude. I don't know. I haven't seen enough. You know, but do you think he's genuine with what he's saying he wants to do for the sport and women's boxing? Or as Eddie Hearn said earlier in the day on the Ariel Helwani show, is, you know, he's got a bee in his bonnet. Basically, he's just, you know, like trying to ruffle feathers, you know, talking about fighter pay over at the UFC and him wanting to help women's boxing. You think he capping? I don't know, man. You know, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm like, you know. So here's the topics we're going to talk about. Fights of the weekend, of course. Carlos Cuadras taking on Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai, the Rat King. Former 115-pound champion, WBC. He got COVID. Jamie Mitchell, who beat Shannon Courtenay, she returns against Carly Skelly. I'm supposed to cuss DAZN out for pausing and resuming my subscription without consent. This is all down below in the description box, by the way. Yeah, DAZN pisses me off. So for 2 months straight, right, I paused my subscription because there was no quality content in what was it, like December and January. So I paused my subscription and the motherfuckers charged me anyway. Bastards. You think it was Twilight? You think it was Joe Markowski, him? Well, he ain't Twilight no more, he Batman. Well, anyway. The other card of the weekend is The Boxer. You know, that's the new, like, promotional. They kind of got like a PBC thing going, like where you don't know where the money's coming from or who really running things, except with PBC. You know what's Al Heyman. So Boxer, BOXXER, is rumored to be secretly funded by the MTK, Dan Conahan. You know, they saying it's the drug money. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what the people are saying. You know, so they have, you know, Sky Sports. They have fighters like who? Who's their number one boxer that they have? I know they got Conf versus Brook. They're, you know, promoting that fight. Savannah Marshall. Basically fighters that would normally be on matchroom cards, like up and comers, are now like staying over on Sky Sports. But anyway, hold up. Let me pull this up real quick because I want y'all to see this shit. I want y'all to see this. Now look at this right here. This is on FITE.tv. Look what they doing to us. Do you see this? Do you see it? Like, are you processing this? This weekend, here in the States, for $30, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams and Clarissa Shields versus Emma Kozin. That's going to be $29.99 on pay-per-view. Julius Ndangu was on that card. Wallin is on that card. But it is in no way, shape, or form the fact that we're getting Khan versus Brook, which is pay-per-view over in the UK, right? Khan versus Brook is pay-per-view over in the UK. Over here, it's been announced that it's going to be here for us in the States on ESPN Plus. Where's that? February the 19th, I believe, is the date. This card right here, Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams, Clarissa Shields versus Emma Kozin, is Sky Sports, their ESPN over in the UK. Basically free, unless, you know, basic cable. Over here, they got the nerve, the low down nerve to charge us $30, $29.99. Now, of course, I'm going to buy it, but that don't mean I got to like it. And besides, I'm doing it for you, the people. Your voices must be heard. That was my Don King impression. You know, he charged us $50 last week. I got to pay for UFC the week, next week. Then this same weekend, we got Thurman. Shut up, Boxer Rotation. I don't know why that made me laugh. We got Thurman versus Barrios for $74.99. Tstreet's not rich. You know? So that's why you see me doing more streams every day. Tstreet's got to make some money. Shit. Got to shake my ass to fucking buy these fights, man. So, yeah. That card, Eubank Jr., Liam Williams, Clarissa Shields, Emma Kozin, Caroline Dubois, Daniel Dubois' sister, she's fighting on that motherfucker too. Otto Wallin's on this joint. And Julie Sendangu is on this joint. Bro, I don't know why it's pay-per-view. Don't ask me, man. Don't ask me, man. I don't listen. I'm kind of pissed off. So yeah, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. They face off in New York. We showed that at the very, very beginning of the video about 10 minutes or so ago. That's set for April the 30th in Madison Square Garden on DAZN. Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul attended. Jesse Vargas and Liam Smith are on the card, along with friend Sean Cruz DAZN and Aline Selderoos. That's a very good card. I like that card. And our homie over at DAZN, Twilight, Joe Markowski, posted this. Just recapping again here. Basically, they're going to make sure the card doesn't interfere. The cards don't interfere with each other. So if Valdez versus Stevenson is true, if that is going to happen also on April the 30th on ESPN, likely a 10 p.m. main card start time, then hopefully in New York, we get the Katie Taylor versus Serrano card starting at like 6 p.m. Eastern, and the main event, they're in the ring like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and then by the time the main event on ESPN here in the States on the East Coast, we don't get our main event until like 11 p.m., damn near midnight, sometimes later. So basically, we should be able to watch both cards. You dig? So I'm looking forward to that on April the 30th. Let's see. What else we got on our list? Of course, we got to talk about, damn it, I printed the damn wrong show notes. Damn it. I printed the wrong show notes. I had an updated version. It's always some shit, man. Is there another page? I ain't getting up. Well, anyway, of course, we got to talk about Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, $74.99 on PBC on Fox pay-per-view. I keep seeing the same thing on social media. People are pissed, and me, I'm thinking to myself, well, if Keith Thurman returned, did we really think, here, let me do it this way. Hold on, let me pull it up. When Keith Thurman returned, right, did people really think to themselves like that he was going to be returning on like free TV with the way PBC been rolling? We got Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin and Johnny Rice versus Michael Coffey. Frank Sanchez versus Christian Hammer on pay-per-view, bro. They started off the year, January the 1st. Like, don't make no sense. So I thought that when Keith Thurman was going to return, no matter who he fought, it was going to be pay-per-view. That's just how they've been rolling. And right now, PBC seems to be dependent on these pay-per-views because Fox is not footing the bill for what Keith Thurman, I'm guessing, is supposed to be guaranteed to make per fight. Now, he hasn't fought in something like 900 or so days. Here, let me pull up the press conference. I want to pull up the Fox broadcast of the press conference, but I'm scared my PC is going to crash. Here, let's do it this way. Let's take a little peek in at the press conference and start from here. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. I'm going to talk about it. Look at the height difference and all of that jazz. Start right here.
Champion of the world, Mario El Azteca Barrios. And now we welcome a man who has been away from the ring since 931 days. but he's making his return. He is the former unified welterweight champion of the world. He's back and ready to make a statement. One-time Thurman, looking forward to Saturday night. Greatly appreciate it. I'm going to start off with our co-main event as Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios take their seat.
I am not interested in the Leo Santa Cruz fight, but let's talk about the card really quickly before we listen to what Keith Thurman has to say. The pay-per-view, from my understanding, is going to open up with... Wait a minute, did we lose a fight? Oh, from my understanding, it's going to open up with Luis Nery versus Carlos Castro. Then Abel Ramos versus Lucas Santamaria. It was supposed to be Abel Ramos versus Jose Zito Lopez, but Lopez pulled out due to injury. Leo Santa Cruz versus Keenan Cabral. And then Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, $74.99 on pay-per-view. It's kind of crazy, you know. Everything I've been seeing on social media so far, people been just slaughtering the fight. Like, yo, I'm not paying for that shit, you know. Everybody's talking about streaming it. You know, is the buzz of Keith Thurman, you know, going? I mean, he can still talk on the mic. He can still, you know, like sell himself. But you got to look at, he's a fighter coming off of a 900-day layoff, right? 2.5 years, nearly, you know, more closer to 3-year layoff. Coming off of a loss to a 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao. And then you have Mario Barrios, who lost his last fight against a 135-pound fighter at 140. Who's now debuting officially at 147 pounds. So 2 fighters coming off of a loss headlining a pay-per-view is already bad enough. Because you're pretty much telling us, like, listen, we can't pay these fighters, but you have to pay them. Like, you, the fans, the people. And PBC starting to get exposed a little bit with this, because it's like, yo, now nothing's out of the realm of possibility with pay-per-view. Remember, even though they may have been fun fights, Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz, that's not supposed to be pay-per-view. I don't give a fuck if you try to make it cheap or not. Anything above $20 here for me, I consider a pay-per-view. Like, you $29.99, you a pay-per-view. Like, I'm not trying to hear it. You know, Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin, these are fights that would have headlined Showtime or headlined regular PBC on Fox. So it's not us, the fans' fault that they promised these fighters a whole bunch of money and they can't sell it. So it's like, make the fans pay for it. You know, whatever happened to free boxing for all? Like, where did that shit go? Let's listen to Keith Thurman. Let me stop right there real quick before we move on. You know what? Listen, I think Mario Barrios has a chance. You know, but you do have to factor in, he did get stopped by Tank Davis, the smaller fighter. He did get his jaw broke by Bakhtir Akhmedov a few years ago, you know, so you do have to factor that in. But I'm wondering what happens when you punch a near 3-year layoff Keith Thurman in the stomach. You know, we've seen that those body shots, man, you know, that yoga and that shit he be doing, they don't really be, listen. You know, you punch that man in the stomach and he drink like seaweed and, you know, he's a very holistic, spiritual type dude, you know. Sometimes with those holistic people, like, they be thinking like that shit can cure certain shit. It's like, yo, you need some fucking medicine. You know, I don't want to get off track, but it's like, bro, it's like, yo, I get you. I get it. You know, you keep things simple in the gym with your strength and conditioning. But we've seen that getting punched in the stomach can cause him some issues. You see what I'm saying? So I'm wondering with Barrios, you know, will we see him go to the body early, you know, or try to commit to it? Now, Keith Thurman does hit hard. One thing they say about a fighter, no matter what, as old as they get or how long they've been out the ring, that power don't go away, you know. But Keith Thurman has also had injuries. And, you know, there's been questions about, like, my dog just started snoring, scared the shit out of me. I wish y'all can hear it. He like barking in his sleep. I wonder what he's chasing. Hey! Hey! Doing a show. Anyway, what was I saying? oh yeah, you know, there's been questions about like Keith Thurman, like outside the ring, like outside influence, getting married and like all of that. Like, how is it going to affect him in the ring? You know, like has he lost the hunger? You know, like the hunger is the eye of the tiger. That's what I'm concerned about. And I don't know, man, like looking at Keith Thurman potentially being bald. Well, no, baldness is a disease. People don't take that shit, you know.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's what's fucking me up. It's like, bro, you lost to a 40-year-old part-time fighter. Like that shit, you know, you got dropped by him and, you know, you even let him punch you in the stomach. Like, you know, getting all on the bite. I got a treat for you guys. I got some prime content for you. I got a treat. Eddie Hearn answered a lot of questions today in an unlikely place on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and he talked about some pretty interesting topics. And we're going to take some time out and listen to this interview, not all of it, but, you know, little bits and pieces. He talked about, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, financial issues, Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos, his thoughts in detail on the purse bid, Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, what's going on with that? Joshua Usyk, Bob Arum, Al Heyman, like he really went in. So let's dissect this, talk about it. Other news, I guess I should mention for those who haven't been tuning in. I think I'm going to settle into this time slot. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 or 7 p.m. You know, and then this weekend, for those who want to be degenerates, you know, you want to watch the fight with me, I'm going to encourage you to buy Thurman versus Barrios, you know, and the Clarissa Shields fight. But we're going to be here on Saturday, streaming live during Thurman versus Barrios, the main event. So if you want to come and join us during commentary, I've always been successful when I've done, you know, live fight commentary streams. So, you know, we want to try to keep that up. Other brief news, if you don't know, Julio Cesar Martinez is moving to 115 to face Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez in place of Juan Francisco Estrada March the 5th in San Diego. Not official yet. Marat Gassiev and Andy Ruiz will not fight Filip Hrgovic for the IBF mandatory spot. I won't be surprised if we see Filip Hrgovic versus the Zhang Zhili, what's his name, the Chinaman, to be the mandatory IBF at heavyweight. Amir Khan, Carol Brook, picked up by ESPN Plus, February the 19th from Manchester and on Sky Sports box office in the UK. So once again, we get Khan versus Brook on the ESPN Plus here in the States. But then over in the UK, they get it on pay-per-view. But here in the States, we get Clarissa Shields versus Emma Kozin, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams, $30 on pay-per-view. But over there, they get it on their regular, you know, sports channel. Like, that pisses me off. And you want to know the real history I've been hearing? Why Clarissa Shields pay-per-views has been on pay-per-view here in the States? Because Showtime and the Zone won't fuck with her no more because of her mouth. You know, but that's just what I heard. I'm not saying it's true. You know, but that's what's been floating around for quite some time. Like, she got like an attitude, you know, and, you know, not anymore. I've heard, you know, like it's not as bad as it used to be, but she kind of fucked up like a lot of relationships, you know. What else? The WBA orders Tank Davis to take on Rolly Romero. You know. No, we can say Chinaman still. Chinaman is not offensive. I don't think it is. Let me not. All right, we will, you know, you're just saying two words, China and man. What's wrong with that? Well, anyway, moving on. Tank Davis and Rolly Romero is going to fight. I pretty much knew that was going to happen. I never really seen it not happening. What else? Sergio Martinez is creeping up on the WBA mandatory ill. And we talked about everything so far. We pretty much hit all the other stuff. Now let's move on to the nitty gritty. So listen, Eddie Hearn did an interview with the MMA Hour. Here, I'm going to put the link for you guys. I encourage you to watch this interview. You're going to, I encourage you, hardcore boxing fans. Let me put it in the chat for you. But let's listen to a little bit of it.
Man, prove me wrong. And
So he was in New York today doing the media rounds for Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. So he dropped in here.
by the way, it's not illegal. I've done it before. It's just
Lost by 10
no,
million.
because when you've got the lion's share of the bid, and what I mean by that is Tyson Fury was on 80%, which is being disputed. You can manipulate the bid. So what you do is you say to Tyson Fury, look, before I bid, are you happy with $25 million? Because we don't want to lose control of this fight, Tyson. You know, we don't want it on a Eddie Hearn promotion.
Right.
Could put it anywhere, blah, blah, blah. So are you happy? And there might be a minimum, a number in his contract even for the fight. Yes. Okay. All of a sudden, you know that whatever you bid, you're only paying Tyson Fury $25 million. So the overbid beyond that number is just to Dillian Whyte by 20%. So the bid of 41 million was not 41 million, unless they want to come out and prove me wrong. And by the way, it's not illegal. I've done it before. It's just part of the process of a purse bid. So we bid 32 or 33. They bid 41, and probably they bid closer to our number. Really, like it's very simple maths. Do you know what I mean? We all know what we're doing. We know the exact money to a couple of $1 million that will be generated from that fight, and it's not 41. But it's around 30.
Do you wish you would have gone a little bit more aggressive? So
Not really, because we would have lost a lot of money.
That would have been a huge disruption, though. Could you imagine?
Yeah, but he probably wouldn't have taken the fight. I mean, Tyson Fury, who, you know, we don't get on all the time. I do have a lot of respect for. I mean, you never know what you're going to get, you know. And yeah, of course, would I have liked to promote the fight? Yeah, of course. I can't lie, but I'm happy. Sometimes in that situation, you put a number in. It's like buying a house, Ariel. You know, are you prepared to lose the house? Yeah, I am at that number. And that's exactly the same for that purse bid. So do you want to win this bid? Yeah, I do. But you got to make a bid that if you lose, no problem. And that's where we're at.
How close were we to getting the Usyk and Fury
Really
fight?
close.
I've heard you say that Fury bottled.
Now, this part is important right here. This is Eddie Hearn's side on what happened with Tyson Fury. And, you know, the Usyk fight and Tyson Fury wanting an interim fight before fighting Usyk, and why Anthony Joshua turned down, you know, the money or whatever. But all sides are different. You know, you got one side saying that Anthony Joshua was ready to take the 15 million. Then at the very last minute, everything was all done. He wanted an extra 5 to make it 20. You know, here's Eddie Hearn's side and Matchroom side.
That he didn't really want
didn't
it.
bottle it. He changed, the goalpost changed. You know, I had to go and negotiate with AJ to step aside.
And he
which
was in.
He never wanted to do.
Okay.
Then it got to a point where I said to him, look, the money's good. You can have a warm-up fight with a new trainer, and you can fight the winner for 3 times more than you're supposed to get to fight Usyk, right? So logically, this could make sense. But when you've got a lot of money and you're a principles guy like AJ, it don't, you know, he's saying, I have to walk down the street knowing that I've stepped aside. I don't want to step aside. Anyway, cut a long story short, the plan was Fury fights Usyk and AJ fights the winner. Nice and simple. And then all of a sudden, Fury said, I'm not willing to fight Usyk. I want to warm up first. And we're saying, well, hang on. I don't even trust Fury to fight AJ after Usyk. Now I've got to trust Fury to have a warm up, then fight Usyk, then fight AJ. So we were renegotiating the deal, etc. And then Fury just said, I want to go ahead with a Dillian Whyte fight. So I'm glad in a way, because the whole thing was a bit of a mess. And we didn't approach anyone to step aside. We were approached with this model. And I was willing to entertain it, but it got to a point where it was like, if he's not prepared to fight Usyk, and then you go on social media, you know, and you see Fury, who's brilliant, you know, brilliant entertainment. Usyk, you bum, you're an easy fight. You know, I'll get the belts back for England, and then the next thing you're being told he won't fight Usyk. So it's like, it's quite confusing, the whole thing.
I do believe that, though. Like, why would Tyson Fury want an interim fight? You know, is that, you know, a part of his deal with Top Rank? Like, he's trying to, you know, have an easy fight, hard fight, easy fight, you know, not really saying like easy fight, hard fight, but, you know, like, what's up with that? Because this is not the first time he wanted to try to take like some old bullshit fight, if that makes sense, you know, before like taking an actual challenge. You know, that shit's a little weird to me, you know, and I'm, you know. But with that, everybody's story going to be different.
Is the moment you make a catastrophic error that could cost you millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I don't play that game.
And also, over here in the States, they want to put this fight on pay-per-view here, ESPN Plus. Now, don't be foolish. They're not going to probably try to lower the price. I wouldn't be surprised if the pay-per-view is no lower than $65. And then it's probably going to be 70 plus because you got to have ESPN Plus, you know, and pay for the subscription. So a midday pay-per-view between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte here in the States on ESPN at $70. How well do you think that's going to do? Me personally, I don't think that shit would crack 100,000 pay-per-view buys. Tyson Fury may have a little name here in the States, yeah, but Dillian Whyte, no. You know, they're going to be relying on hardcore fans to come out in droves to buy that fight, where many of the hardcore fans feel that Tyson Fury is just going to beat Dillian Whyte up, you know, 10 rounds to 2 type shit, maybe even stopping, you know, just off of punishment, you know. So that part right there is just, you know, it's a little weird to me. Now, over in the UK, Fury versus Whyte, yeah, it's going to have some buzz, press conferences and all type of, you know, things like that. By the way, Frank Warren in ESPN, but Frank Warren in the UK has the rights, winning the purse bid to promote the fight. So it's going to be BT Sport. Hopefully they don't have no sound issues. Sometimes BT Sport press conferences can be on some shit. Hopefully they do it right, but I'm expecting, you know, they're probably going to make, you know, it's probably going to be a lot of media, you know, going on in the build up to the fight. And Eddie Hearn during his interview, you know, said that, was talking about why Dillian Whyte's so quiet. Hey, let me see if I can find that clip.
I'll back our guys. You know, people phone up Dillian Whyte. Oh.
Yeah, here, let me start right here. He's going to explain what's going on with from his side on why Dillian Whyte hasn't said anything yet or posted anything. And basically he's saying they don't have a contract or anything.
Well, it's $10 million because they would have been the only bidder. It's a lot of people in business. And it's not, you know, you start going in with your dick and next thing you're bidding 10 million over the number because I want to win this, I don't like those guys. And then you finish the show and you look at the bottom line and you've done $5-10 million. Oh, well done. That's great business, you know. So we have a great business, we back our guys. And the fact that we were even there meant that Dillian Whyte received that money because we turned up and they went, shit, Matchroom are here. You know, if we didn't turn up, they would have bid $5 million, $10 million, because they would have been the only bidder. There's a lot of people there who like to get involved. You know, people phone up Dillian Whyte, oh, we do this. Then it comes around to it, 2 bidders.
Right.
All these other people that were so interested in the fight, where were they putting their money up? Because they ain't got no money. That's the difference.
By the way, I don't know why no one does this. Someone needs to tell.
Yeah, that was a little odd to me that we only got to see or hear that it wasn't like nobody there except Matchroom and Top Rank.
Right. AJ Usyk. Does it happen in May?
Yeah, I think again
100%.
Like, yeah, again, we're not. There's nothing else. The only thing that I was looking at, because it was a lot of money on the table, was this other deal, you know.
Right.
But there's no other fight. Like again. That's the fight, and that's the fight AJ wanted. You know, he will make changes to his training team. But when I sat down with him last Monday about the step aside, he just said, I'll beat Usyk. I said, yeah, but you know, you haven't started working with your new trainer yet. I said, I'll beat him without a trainer. He's pumped for that fight. And it's a really tough fight. And by the way, Fury's no mug. He knows how good Usyk is. That's why he didn't want to fight him straight off the bat. He's really good. So it's a tough fight for AJ. I just hope AJ gets the credit for the fights that he takes. Like, how many fighters, honestly, would have just taken the Usyk fight in AJ's position, or how many would have just vacated the belt and gone, oh no, we're going down another route? He wanted to fight him, and now he's fighting him again.
I mean, yeah, you know, fast car talking fast car, Eddie Hearn shit, you know, no matter how you look at it, they were entertaining the step aside deal. You know, he's confirmed that during the interview, you know, and from both sides, it's something that stopped it, you know, from going through. On one side, they're saying, oh, Fury wanted an interim deal. I mean, Fury wanted a extra fight, you know, he wanted to fight somebody and then fight Usyk, then fight Joshua after that. Eddie Hearn didn't trust that. On the other side, they're saying Anthony Joshua wanted an extra $5 million. Maybe he wanted the extra $5 million because it's like, no, you want to fight somebody else, then kind of promise me that you may fight me in the future. No, give us some extra money. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. But regardless, if I was to pick a winner of Joshua or Usyk versus Joshua 2, the way things are going, I'm not really sure Joshua can do it. People are going to say, well, the mistake he made, including myself, was him going out there trying to box Usyk. He's got to be more aggressive. But I think that's just going to get him messed up even more, So looking like Eddie Hearn saying it's going to happen in May. I won't be surprised if it's June. He even goes on to give a little update on what's going on with Kambosos Haney.
What they like, they've got everything. They've got all the money, they've got all the legacy he would want, unless he was so sensible. Like, my idea of sensible might be ludicrous.
Oh, this is when he was talking about Terence Crawford. Apparently, they're interested in him.
Yes, because he's a pound-for-pound top fighter. COVID is starting to pick up, or have been, for COVID in Australia, so it's kind of put April out of the equation. But, I think May time, Devin's here last night. He's 23 years old. He can really fight. I think this kid's a real young superstar, so he's ready.
Do you have any interest in Terence Crawford?
Yes, because he's a pound-for-pound top fighter. Goes back to the value of a fight. Have you
talked to him?
Yeah, I've had some chats with his representatives. The problem is what can we deliver in that weight class for him? It's a weight class historically dominated by PBC. So it's one thing getting Terence Crawford and paying him great money, but the other one is which fight are you going to give him that's actually going to deliver for DAZN? And we don't have access to a lot of those welterweights that would deliver value. Errol Spence, greatest example. And again, it comes back to how much money is Terence Crawford going to generate? Amazing fighter. But I just feel that promotionally, they haven't done the job that perhaps could have been done on Terence Crawford to make him the draw that he should be.
Okay. So do you think that it's worth it for you, or you're not interested? Like, are you?
I'm interested because he's a great fighter,
right.
But I think we will struggle to deliver the numbers that he would want unless he was so sensible. Like, my idea of sensible might be ludicrous to Adrian Broner,
right?
For example, is a good example of but that doesn't mean we're always right. But we know the numbers. This is the difference. We know the numbers, but fighters and their representatives don't really care what the numbers is. They've got their own numbers.
Mm-hmm. So at this...
Yeah, that's pretty damning right there. You had PBC going on the record, Tim Smith on the PBC podcast saying, pretty much Terence Crawford, they can't meet his numbers. Eddie Hearn is now on the record saying they can't meet his numbers. Bob Arum is getting sued for saying he don't want to lose any more money on Terence Crawford. And now you have fans saying Terence Crawford needs to take a pay cut. And Terence Crawford doesn't want to go to PBC. He's in a tough spot. But at the same time, I kind of predicted this crap about 4 or 5 years ago that PBC was going to freeze him out. And now look. So it's like, what does the winner of Spence versus Ugas do? Do they not fight Terence Crawford? If they capture 3 belts? What happens when Terence Crawford says, all right, listen, I'm just throwing some numbers out there. I want 10 million or I want 50-50. Like, do you not make the fight happen? Do you be like, you know what? The state of boxing right now was just kind of fucked up. I feel bad for Bud Crawford, but you have to also think, damn, well, he did resign with Top Rank, but look at the money they were paying him to not be on pay-per-view. He was making what was it being said? $4.5 million? I forgot. We went over the documents a few weeks ago. An average of $4.5 million a fight, something like that, or was it $3.5 million? Fighters don't get that, even on the PBC side, unless they have to go on pay-per-view. So that right there is pretty damning, Yeah, I believe that the winner of Spence versus Ugas is going to fight the winner of Thurman versus Barrios. I believe it as well. And if you look at where Terence Crawford is, if I'm correct, I believe it's this year, He's going to be 35 years old in like September or something, right? Let me check. Like, that's crazy. Let me see. It's crazy. I mean, yes, Spence versus Ugas is a good fight. I like the fight. But if we had our choice, you know, of course we would pick, you know, Spence Crawford. Yeah, he'll be 35. He'll be 35 end of September. 35. It was $4 million he was making. That's crazy. That's a good question. I don't know how much Loma makes over a Top Rank, but I think that Crawford was the highest paid, I believe. Tio's contract was something like $1.25 million a fight. Something like that, along those lines. This was all released over the last year or so because of the purse bid dispute. And Teofimo, I was going to talk about him in detail in this video, but we really don't have a lot of time left. Remember, I'm going to be here on Saturday night streaming during Thurman versus Barrios main event. So we'll be checking in with brief highlights. We'll be talking about the fight, listening to the post-fight interview. We'll be live during the post-fight press conference, talking about what's next for both fighters. And like I said before, I will not be surprised if Keith Thurman loses that fight. But here's some logical options, you know, taking out PBC fighters of fights that can happen for Terence Crawford. Let's go look at the 147-pound division. You know, Mikey Garcia. I think that Terence Crawford would beat him, though. But that's a fight just, you know, if they can make that to buy some time. Stanionis is with Probellum. Rumors are that Terence Crawford has some Dubai backers. Maybe Probellum. The Virgil Ortiz Jr. fight can happen. You know, because remember, Terence Crawford's a free agent. Virgil Ortiz, Golden Boy fighting over on the Zone. Boots Ennis is over on Showtime. But if you see right here, the next mandatory is going to be Virgil Ortiz or Boots Ennis. So unless Crawford goes up to 154, by the way, some news. March the 19th, I believe, is the date. Charlo versus Castaño 2 with Tim Tszyu versus Terrell Goucher on the undercard. And I forgot who else is the third fight for regular Showtime boxing. Forgot who else. But, you know, realistically, you know, maybe Terence Crawford versus Conor Benn. No, I don't want to see that. Because if I see him versus Conor Benn, then listen, I want to see him versus Virgil Ortiz. And we're talking about fights that are off of the PBC and off of the Top Rank platform. You know, so we got Mikey Garcia, possibly Stanionis, but I don't, you know, think so. By the way, Stanionis is supposed to be the mandatory for the winner of Ugas. No, correction. Stanionis is supposed to be the mandatory for the winner of Spence versus Ugas, or does Stanionis have to fight Butiev? I don't remember, because Stanionis is supposed to be stepping aside for Spence versus Ugas to fight, because, you know, Ugas was bitching and complaining about the WBA tournament to consolidate those belts. So realistically for Terence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz, after he fights and or beats McKinson, that's his next fight. You know, if they really want to, you know, maybe Sandor Martin, you know, a little bullshit fight, he beat Mikey Garcia. I mean, there's nothing that really sticks out, you know, unless it's Virgil Ortiz, you know, or Mikey Garcia, you know, it's, you know, and Terence Crawford usually returns in about April. So it's looking like he may not be returning until maybe May or June. Who fights Butiev? Stanionis is going to have to fight him. Tough situation for him, man. And the Josh Taylor fight, that seems like that's gone because Josh Taylor is Top Rank, and I don't see Top Rank and Crawford working together ever again. Josh Taylor's going to be taking on his mandatory Jack Catterall in the next couple of months. You know, damn, bud. Where does he go from here? does he go from here? Yeah, no, I don't consider 35 to be old in this day and age of boxing. It's just that, like, damn, he's 35 years old, you know? That's what I'm saying. But listen, I'm getting up out of here. We're going to be back on Friday with the weigh-in recap for Thurman versus Barrios and the Clarissa Shields fight, and even Carlos Cuadras versus Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And then Saturday, we're going to be pumping out these videos like we normally would do and getting back into the swing of things. Thanks for watching. I'm TstreeT Controversy with FITE 360. All the links to my social media is down below in the description box. Twitter, Instagram,